Yeah. So we'll talk a little bit about freshwater turtles and tortoises. What are turtles? A lot of times people get confused between turtles and tortoises. We will have a brief look at what are turtles. So turtles are reptiles, like David said in the beginning. Uh, a little overlooked reptiles, but they are reptiles, and they come under the family Testudines. They are called Testudines. And a Greek word for turtles and tortoises are also chelonia. Sometimes they're also referred as chelonians. Just like muggers, just like lizards, just like snakes, turtles are reptiles. Million years ago, and the first real turtle with a fully developed shell was discovered 260 million years ago. And they have been here since Triassic and Jurassic period. They've been here for a very long time. The earliest known turtle fossils, one of the theories, it is believed that the turtles developed shell or that kind of body pattern because of their burrowing environment, which could have helped them to burrow. This is one of the theories that uh, how the turtle shells originated. So it is believed that the turtle shells originated out of their burrowing fossorial habits. A lot of times we get this question, are turtles and tortoises same? A lot of times people confuse between turtles and tortoises. They end up calling tortoises as turtles, turtles as tortoises. But turtles and tortoises are different. Turtles are essentially aquatic. Of course, there are some exceptions. Some of the turtles are semi-aquatic, but most of them need water. Their body is built to survive in water, to swim in water. Their carapace, like their shell, is comparatively flatter compared to the tortoises, while tortoises are terrestrial. They only go to water to drink water. They do not swim in water. Their habitat is land, completely terrestrial animals. So if you look at their legs, you can check out the legs of all tortoises here. They are elephant like, thick, elephantine legs, which the shell helps them to protect them on the land. And if you look at the legs of turtles here, they are not like tortoises. Now, between turtles also, there are some differentiations. If you look at aquatic turtles, there are two types of aquatic turtles. One are freshwater turtles. This on the left is freshwater turtle, and one on the right is a marine turtle. So how do you differentiate between two? A freshwater turtle, if you look at the limbs, if you look at the limbs of a freshwater turtle, it is like a leg. Some of them have webbed legs like this, webbed limbs like this, but a marine turtle will always have a flipper like this. You will never find a freshwater turtle with flipper like this. This is the easiest way to distinguish between freshwater turtle and marine turtle. Of course, there are anatomical differences, some other morphological differences. One of the specialized features that marine turtles have is that they have salt glands somewhere near their eyes, which help them remove the excess salt that they ingest while taking their prey or while taking in the water. That is not present in freshwater turtles because they don't need it. Like I said, turtles and tortoises are also referred as chelonians, and freshwater turtles and tortoises are referred as non-marine chelonians. They're not marine chelonians. So they're non-marine chelonians, which comprise of freshwater turtles and tortoises. In freshwater turtles also, you can see two types of turtles. And they are very easy. Like if you look at their names, the names are their giveaway. One is a hard shell turtle. Its shell is hard, it's bony, and is a very good protective mechanism. While soft shell turtle, its shell is soft. It has a very leathery shell. You can look here. There is a skin. There's a skin that's covering the shell. This photo is by David Raju, the one of the soft shell turtle. If you look at turtle's body plan, a lot of people call turtle's shell as its home, but that is wrong. A turtle's shell is not its home. Turtle's shell is a part of its body, and you can look here. The shell is comprised of its ribs, and a vertebral column is encompassed in it, and it is a part of its body, so it cannot get out of its its shell like depicted in cartoons, and sometimes we see it in popular magazines and stuff. So this is not, you can see here, this is not a shell. A shell is a part of its body, and this doesn't happen. A turtle shell is not its home. A turtle shell is its body. So you can see that this doesn't happen, and a turtle cannot ever get out of its shell. If you look at the turtle shell structure, the upper part of the shell is called carapace, the lower part of the shell is called plastron, and the two where they bridge is called a bridge. And like I said, each scale of its shell is called a scute. We'll look into we'll get a brief glimpse of their ecology. Like I said, basking is very, very important for turtles because they are ectotherms, and they need basking to regulate their metabolism. But also, basking is important for preventing a lot of parasites. Turtles and tortoises have a lot of endo and ectoparasites, parasites that are inside their body, parasites that are outside their body, like leeches. You can see here in this soft shell turtle, there is a leech stuck here. So the turtles, when they come out to bask, a lot of times their parasites go away. So it's not only important to regulate their metabolism, but also to keep a lot of parasites and diseases away. A lot of fungal diseases are cured because they bask. And it is very, very important. You can see that they utilize different kinds of substrates for basking. So these turtles are Assam roof turtles. They use logs for basking. This one has come out on muddy land to bask. Some of them just surface on the water to bask, and they don't necessarily come out like this to bask. They can just, like large turtles especially, engage in this. They don't really need to come out. They can surface on the water, and they can regulate the body temperature. One very interesting characteristic of a turtle is its breathing mechanism. They have a very unique breathing mechanism. We all have diaphragms, right? As mammals, we all have diaphragms, which moves when we breathe in. Our stomachs expand. When we breathe out, our stomachs contract. But that is not possible in turtles because its shell is very, very rigid. So what happens is the abdominal muscles of a turtle contracts and make space for the lungs, so that when they want to breathe in, the abdominal muscle will contract, and then the air will be sucked in. And when the air wants to, like when they want to exhale, the abdominal muscles again come back to its normal position. So this is an interesting breathing mechanism found only in turtles. One another interesting way that they engage in gas exchange, it's not exactly breathing, but they do some gas exchange through their cloaca, which is their anal opening. And these turtles are known as bum breathers because they technically breathe from their bum. They don't breathe, but there is a gas exchange from their cloaca. Some of the kinosternnids are known to engage in such mechanisms. And another interesting find is some of the soft shell turtles engage in gas exchange through their shells. For example, American soft shell turtles, North American soft shell turtles of the genus Apollonie are known to exchange gas when they are underwater through their shells. So this is extremely fascinating. Unfortunately, in India, we don't have too many studies to see if our turtles, like if turtles in India do this kind of gas exchanges. But these are some of the fascinating ways that turtles engage so that they can stay underwater for a longer period of time. If we look at the feeding preferences, most of the tortoises are herbivores, but occasionally, opportunistically, they will feed on dead carcasses. Travancore tortoises are known to do this. Some of the star tortoises in captivity have seen to be eating bird poop, and but these are opportunistic. Mainly, they are herbivores, and some of the hardshell turtles are also believed to be herbivores. In Indian species especially, we don't have enough studies to prove this, but majorly their diet, if you look in captivity especially, has been plant-based diet. Soft-shell turtles are mainly carnivores, omnivores, and they also scavenge. Um, One interesting characteristic characteristic about some of the soft shell turtles are their ambush predators. Means they'll bury themselves in sun like this. Like you can see here what these soft shell turtles are done. You can look at the body plan. They have very flat shell. This is Indian narrow-headed soft shell turtle. Very flat disc-like shell. They will bury themselves in the sand. Their eyes are also located at the top of its head so that they can completely bury and just their eyes stay out. And then as an unwary fish will pass by, they'll pounce on that fish. So this is an interesting ambush habits that a lot of turtles engage in. You can see this habit in leopards, mammals, that they ambush their prey. So they are called ambush predators. If you look at the cycle of turtles, all turtles, like other reptiles, lay eggs. In some of the reptiles, you see ovoviviparity, meaning that the eggs are laid inside the body, and then the eggs hatch inside the body, and the live young ones come out. But that is not seen in turtles. We do not know if any such thing is there in turtles. All turtles lay eggs. They dig a hole in the ground, dig a burrow in the ground. They make a small cavity, and then they lay eggs. The egg incubation period of eggs depend on species to species. Once the incubation period is complete, a hatchling will come out. Most of the turtles will have a small bony projection at the tip of their snout, which is referred as caruncle, which helps them break the shell of the eggs, because the turtle eggs have calcareous shells. It is hard like birds, not like snakes. Snake eggs are leathery. So turtle hatchlings come out with a small calcareous projection on their snout, which wears off within few hours of its hatching. This egg stage and the hatchling stage is where maximum predation of turtles happen. This is when they are most susceptible to getting predated by other predators. And then they grow to adulthood. Some of them show sexual dimorphism where males and females look different, but many of them don't. Then they mate, they lay eggs, and then the life cycle goes on. In most turtles, there is temperature dependent sex determination, meaning the sex of the resultant hatchling depends on what is the temperature of the nest, what is the temperature that it is subjected to. So it is believed that below 30 degrees, if the temperature of the nest is below 30 degrees, the resultant hatchlings are going to be all males. If the temperature is above 31 degrees, the resultant hatchlings are going to be female. If the temperature is maintained between 30 and 31, then both sexes hatch equally. But a recent find has also shown that there are genes that are also involved in sex determination of turtles. So the more research we engage in, the more information that comes out of it. So recent research has shown that it's not only temperature dependent sex determination, but also some level of genes are also involved. If we look at the eggs, hard shell turtle eggs are like this. They are cylindrical. They are cylindrical in shape, and soft shell turtles and tortoise eggs are spherical. They are round. If you look at the nesting habitats, all turtles and tortoises will have different kinds of nesting habitats depending on species to species. Freshwater turtles come out on the sandbanks or on the marshy lands to lay their eggs. Tortoises will find a spot that is cool. Some of the tortoises are known to urinate on the ground to make it soft, and then the female will dig the nest. She'll lay the eggs and cover the ground. If you look here in the picture on the left, there is a leech stuck on the on the bum of this turtle. This indicates that turtle shells have veins, because there is a small layer of veins going on. A lot of times you will see leeches stuck on the shells of turtles. Turtles and tortoises are very important to ecosystem, because they are intricately linked in food web and food chain. Some of the, like for example, this is a gopher tortoises, and gopher tortoises are known to support many other species in their burrows. We found out that there are almost 36 species that are supported by gopher tortoises burrows. Turtles and tortoises engage in predation of a lot of invasive species. They are important in balancing out the food chain and food web, but at the same time they are also food for predators, especially at the egg stage and the hatchling stage. But some of the adults also succumb to predators. We'll have a look at how many turtles and tortoises are found in India. So if we look at freshwater turtles, we have 24 species of freshwater turtles in India. The commonest ones are the Indian flapshell and the black pond turtle. In most of the ponds and lakes, you'll see the species. While we have 5 species of marine turtles, the commonest ones are olive ridley and green sea turtles. Right now, we are seeing, like, if you are if you are on social media, you must be seeing a lot of posts of olive ridley turtles hatching, and this is the season when a lot of turtle eggs hatch. We have 5 species of tortoises in India. The commonest is the Indian star tortoise. Until 2019, we had 4 species of tortoises, but last year, one more species of tortoise was added to India's checklist. Impressed tortoise was discovered from India. It was known from Southeast Asia, but there was no records of that tortoise being found in India. But last year, some of the researchers discovered that impressed tortoises are found in the state of Arunachal Pradesh in India. Coming to some of the threats that turtles and tortoises face, there are direct threats. A lot of people poach illegally. They poach turtles. Some of them get trapped in the fishing nets. Some of the people engage actively in catching the turtles or their eggs. They consume their eggs. And indirect threats are dams, pollution of water bodies, loss of habitat to many developmental projects. Dams are especially are a huge hindrance to turtles because they need this kind. Dams restrict their movement, and it is extremely dangerous. You can see this picture is of sand mining. Sandy beaches of rivers are extremely important because that's where they lay their eggs. And if the entire sandy substrate is taken off, they don't have any place to lay eggs. So no matter how much you try to protect the species, if you do not conserve their habitat, it is not going to be useful. This picture is from Chambal, where active sand mining mafias are a huge problem to turtle habitats there. This is another type of threat where you see riverside agriculture taking up a lot of habitat of turtle nesting. This is done at the same time when there is turtle nesting season. So turtles have to compete for habitat along with sand mining. There is also riverside agriculture. So there are a lot of direct and indirect threats that turtles are facing. In India, 56% of our freshwater turtles and tortoises are under IUCN red list as threatened, in threatened category, and that is a cause of alarm. One of the, like you can see, this turtle, for example, is the black softshell turtle. According to IUCN, this is extinct and wild, and my colleague Miss Anuja Mittal is working on the species to study its ecology. These pictures are from a temple pond where they are known to be found. This is from Assam, and people throw a lot of rubbish. They feed them puffed rice, but that is not a good place for, like, you wouldn't want to live in such kind of polluted habitat, right? And this is an extinct and wild turtle, very very rare, and it lives in a really sad state. One major problem to turtles facing in India, Indian turtles, is the turtle trade. There are two types of consumption, two types of problems here. One is they are taken up for meat trade and medicine, and second is for illegal pet trade. you can see here that these are the fish markets in North and Northeast India. You'll see that there'll be turtles sold openly in markets for consumption, and sometimes you'll see a lot of locals in many states of India, in southern states also, in western states of Maharashtra and Gujarat. People use turtle meats for, they say that turtle meat cure arthritis or piles. That is not true. None of it is proven. If you have any kind of medical problems, or if you hear people saying this, just tell them to go to a doctor. Turtle meat doesn't cure anything. So these kind of markets are a huge problem, and we're seeing how illegal meat consumption has caused a lot of problems of diseases, and we have to be very careful of what we are using. You can see these kind of medicines are sold openly in this in Chinese meat markets. You'll see this kind of turtle meat, turtle oil, etc. This is sold in markets openly under the name of Unani medicines, or you'll see this, and this is wrong. None of this is known to cure anything. Tortoises and some of the freshwater turtles of India are extremely beautiful, and they are sold as pets. And the conditions that they are kept in is horrible. You'll see that in monsoon, hatchlings of a lot of turtles are very common and easy to find. So you'll see that multiple hatchlings are collected. This is still a box, but these are pictures of seizures of confiscated individuals. But poachers keep turtles and tortoises in inhumane conditions. It is horrible to see, like, a whole gunny bag full of turtles that are under, like, that are under a lot of stress and pressure, have diseases and problems. And it is extremely sad to see that this is extremely common. You go to any kind of pet market and you will see these turtles sold openly. There is not much restriction, and a lot of times these poachers are easily, this pet sellers and aquarium people easily fool people by saying that these are Singapore turtles or Malaysian turtles, but they are actually selling Indian turtles in the name of these turtles. Some of the commonest turtles that we see, Indian turtles in trade, are this Panchura species, the roof turtle species. These are these are sold under the name of Singaporean Malaysian turtles. They are extremely pretty, and the hatchlings are really small. So poachers, this illegal trade goes on rampantly in the species. These turtles are native to north and northeast river systems, and you'll see these very commonly sold in pet market. All the turtles, all freshwater turtles and tortoises, even marine turtles, are protected under Indian Wildlife Protection Act. So sale or buying of these turtles are illegal. You should not engage in that. If you have any kind of pet turtle that is Indian, it is good that you go to forest department um, and then give that turtle up. Another commonly seen Indian turtle in pet market is the spotted pond turtle. This is extremely beautiful, striking patterns. Like the hatchling has even beautiful pattern. The shell is also covered with spots. It looks very pretty, and a lot of people buy this from illegal pet stores. Again, this is illegal. They are protected. These are Schedule 1 species, and you should not buy these turtles from any aquariums. Commonly seen tortoise in pet trade is the Indian star tortoise. There are two major trade hubs in India. One is in South India in Andhra Pradesh, and one is in Gujarat. Mr. Aniruddha Mukherjee has done a lot of research on these illegal trade in star tortoises, and you'll see that thousands of individuals are exported out of the country. Forget about the trade that is going on in the country. Their estimates is that annually, just from one trade hub, 55,000 individuals are exported, and most of them are hatchlings, because it's much more easier to collect hatchlings. They collect hatchlings, the poachers collect hatchlings, They have developed methods to trap as many hatchlings as possible. And this is extremely sad, because if this goes on, the population may crash, because just the hatchlings are taken out, and there'll be no replacement if this goes on. Again, these tortoises are protected under the Wildlife Protection Act, so you should not keep them as pets. Your house is not their habitat. It is, no matter how much you love your turtle or tortoises, your house is not uh, a right place for these turtles or tortoises. Like I said, all turtles and tortoises, Indian species, are protected under Indian Wildlife Protection Act. Some of them are in Schedule 1, some of them in Schedule 2. Do not keep them as pets. One major problem that our freshwater systems are facing are that of invasive species. This is extremely common to see in urban water bodies. Exotic species that are allowed to be sold in Indian markets. Sometimes what happens is people buy these red-eared sliders. This is the commonest of the freshwater turtle sold in the pet market. People buy these red-eared sliders. Then in the monsoon, there is a scare of dengue or there is a scare of chikungunya, and then people will realize that they don't want to keep their aquariums, and then they will dump their turtles in the water bodies, in natural water bodies. Sometimes, because turtles require a special kind of care when you keep them in captivity, they develop diseases, and people don't know what to do of that, and they just dump them in natural water bodies. This is extremely wrong, because these turtles are not native to our water bodies. They end up becoming invasive. They compete with our natural water bodies. There are anecdotal evidences that show that these red-eared sliders have replaced our flapshell turtles in lot of urban areas. Another commonly seen exotic species in pet trade is the western painted terrapin. This is comparatively rarer than red-eared slider, but it is still sold because it is very pretty. Again, people dump these species when they are done with it, or when they don't know how to care for them. That is wrong. Commonly seen exotic tortoise in trade is the African spur-thighed tortoise, and sometimes what happens is people don't know how to care for them, because these species grow huge. Like you can see, this tortoise is in the hand of a 6 foot tall man, and it is a large species. People buy them when they are small, when they are hatchlings, and then they realize that it is not easy to keep them, so they either dump them in some gardens, or they go to their zoos and give them up, because it's hard to keep that huge tortoise. But that is not right. If you are not able to care for turtles and tortoises, please don't keep them in your houses. What do we do at FTTI? Freshwater Turtles and Tortoises of India is a India Biodiversity Portal user group. It is a citizen science project supported by the India Biodiversity Portal, which is a repository of India's biodiversity information. Any of you, if you go out, you photograph, if you're interested in turtles, your photograph may not be National Geographic level. It doesn't matter. If you have a photograph of a turtle, you can upload them on this website. And there is a user group that has information on India's freshwater turtles and tortoises. If you upload your photo, it helps us document the species. You will have to tell us, you will have to upload the location of where you took the photo from, which helps us map the distribution of the species. As I said, there is very limited research on Indian freshwater turtles. We practically know nothing about. We have 29 species of freshwater turtles and tortoises of India, and detailed studies are extremely rare. We do not know about their natural history, about their ecology, nothing. So these kind of your when you contribute to citizen science projects, they become very crucial record for getting us data. And through FTTI user group, we have been able to get a lot of information on black softshell turtle, on which my colleague is working, as I mentioned before, and the lead softshell turtle, on which I am working right now. We have got some new records of locations of these turtles, which is extremely rare. helpful. So if you have any kind of contribution to make to FTTI user group on India Biodiversity Portal, please go and upload your observations. You can be part of the conservation project. Um, Looking at some interesting facts, India is a turtle hotspot. Assam is a state where you get 21 species of freshwater turtles and tortoises out of all the 29 species in India. Which is this is the most number of turtle species found anywhere else in the world. It is the turtle hotspot, and it is because of the interesting landscape, that interesting wetland and islands created by the Brahmaputra river, which is why we have so many turtle species there. Turtle's shell, as I said, is a part of its body, so it's made up of 50 bones. Like the common belief, turtles and tortoises live very long, depending on which species you see. I'd like to acknowledge ANHS and Kottayam Nature Society, which is hosting this webinar. The India Biodiversity Portal team, which supports our conservation efforts, and David and the team who have made this possible. I hope I pronounced Kottayam properly. I can take questions now.
Thank you so much, Sneha.
Yeah.
There's been already quite a few questions in the chat box.
There are quite a lot of questions. Okay, let's start. So Tanisha has asked, what is the basic incubation period? Uh, like I said, incubation period varies from species to species. Some of the species need two months, like 30 to 45 days for incubation, while some of the species like the crown river turtle have been known to have incubation period as long as 9 to 10 months. What happens in this case is the eggs are laid on the banks of water. In the monsoon, the water level rises. The eggs submerge in the water and they go a period of diapause where their metabolism stops temporarily. When the water resides, the eggs resume their incubation, and then they hatch. So depending on different species, the incubation period varies. Tushar has asked, in turtle conservation, mostly the eggs are collected and hatching happens ex situ. Has any research been done on the sexes of the hatchlings that are born in ex situ sites? Because the temperature may vary in place where females has laid the eggs in the ex situ site. Yes, Tushar, this is very, very important question, and this has been a cause of debate for many, many researchers because, like you rightly said, the temperature differs, and many of the conservation programs don't really look at the incubation temperatures. They don't monitor this, and we don't know if the resultant hatchlings are all females or all males because the conditions that ex situ conservation projects are kept in may be very different than what the natural temperature of the nest may be. So yes, this is a cause of concern, and it has been a cause of debate on whether such kind of ex situ conservation projects are even successful or not. What happens is a lot of times these conservation projects are not looking at what happens to the hatchlings that are released. So that is also another cause of debate. But like I said, we have no research on any of our freshwater turtles. And for any conservation project to be successful, research is a backbone. We need to have research. We need to have a lot of researchers working on freshwater turtles or any species for that matter to know what is its natural history, what is its ecology. Only then any kind of conservation project applied to a species will be successful. Okay. I am sorry, Rohan. I just saw this message. Our Ruspe asked, are exotic terrapins, example red-eared sliders, released in the wild in India, threat to indigenous species? Yes, okay. When do you use the word terrapin? Are freshwater turtles called terrapin? Why should the turtles evolve to have sexual determination as per temperature? What should be the ecological advantage? Um, so terrapins, I will answer your question question first. Terrapins basically is just the use of language. People in UK refer to aquatic mud turtles as terrapins. In US, only the diamondback terrapins are usually referred as terrapins, but terrapins are nothing but aquatic turtles. They are freshwater turtles who usually semi-aquatic turtles, which usually do not require to be in water so much. They are referred as terrapins. Why should the turtles evolve to have sexual determination as per temperature? So again, it is believed that this is a primitive method of sex determination. But again, like I said, that there is a new research that shows that it is not just temperature dependent. It is also genes that determine the sex of the turtles. So different species of turtles and tortoises. I don't understand this question. Is it possible to explain few things about identifying flapshell turtles? Flapshell turtles are like the name suggests, they have flaps on the plastron, which when they retract their legs, the flaps closed. That is why it's called flapshell turtles. If you want more information on any of the species, you can look at India Biodiversity Portal species pages, which has information. So India Biodiversity Portal right now is going through a revamp. Tonight it's going to be revamped, so you may not be able to access it for coming 2-3 days, but as soon as the page is up, you will have information on freshwater turtles. Any of the, like, you click on any species pages and you will get some of whatever research that's done, whatever information we have, you will be able to find it on the page. You can also look at our Instagram and Facebook to get more information on the species. We keep posting about such stuff and it might be helpful. Do they live in same habitat? No, all turtles and tortoises, depending on the species, have different types of habitat. For example, star tortoise live in scrub and grasslands, while Travancore tortoises require deciduous forests or rainforests. Can you please share your previous scientific publication or study report? Um, Please get in touch with me. Whatever I have, I will send it to you. You can contact me on Instagram, Facebook, or WhatsApp me. If you ask David, he can circulate my number to you. What is turtle farming status in India, and which are the main species? We do not have turtle farms in India. It is like our indigenous species. It's illegal to have turtle farms. I'm assuming you are asking this for consumption. Can they interbreed? We do not have much information on interbreeds. Softshell turtles don't. There are some of the intergrades that are created in many of the Punctura species, the roof turtle species poster that we saw in the presentation, but there is not enough information to see what kind of interbreeding is going on. But there is interbreeding breeding between subspecies. We don't know if there is interbreeding between species. So we need a lot more research on this. What are the methods used to survey a large area, say like a river? So the commonly used method we use is to like trap them through nets. That's the best way to look. But visual encounter surveys are also used to study turtles. But the most effective is the mark recapture method. That's the only way you will be able to ascertain the population in the most reliable manner. In some species, we can identify their male and female, right? Could you please explain how is it possible? Yeah, so in many species, you will see marked difference between male and female. For example, in tortoises, in Travancore tortoise and star tortoise both, you will see the males will have concave plastron. The plastron will be a little bit bent inside so that they can mount on the females. And then in many species, males are comparatively smaller than females. This is very clear between, you can see in roof turtle species, the Punctura species, and even in the Batagur species, where you'll see that males are much smaller than the females. The females are actually females can go up to double the size of males. So there are different kinds of sexual dimorphisms. In Batagur species, you'll see the males, like Batagur kachuga, for example, the male in breeding season becomes extremely beautiful. The head pattern changes. Beautiful red crown like structure of like colors appear. So it's called like red. That's why it's called red crown roof turtle. Some of the turtles are carnivores, especially those who have been released in the river so that they can feed on dead body left in the river. uh, I don't know if this is a question or a statement, but yeah, many of the soft shell turtles are carnivores and they'll eat anything that they can procure. So yeah, if a dead body is left in the river, they'll eat. So I would like to point out here that a lot of turtles, a lot of people believe that turtles clean water bodies, which is true. They are known as the vultures of ecosystems. But what happens is they keep these turtles in the wells because they think that the turtles will clean the wells. Unfortunately, what happens is, like I said, all turtles need to bask. They are ectothermic. They are cold blooded. So in the wells, they do not get substrate to bask. So you will see that a lot of times these turtles are diseased. They'll have diseases like shell rot, and their shells are deformed because they cannot bask and their metabolism is not proper. So if you have turtles in wells, if you are able to tell people that they if they are able to remove the turtles, please remove them from the wells and put them back in the ponds and lakes where they can come out and bask. What are the current and previous field-based projects that you are worked in India? I have worked on red crown roof turtles and three-striped roof turtles in Chambal. I have done a brief study on Indian star tortoise in Gujarat, and I am currently working on leaf soft shell turtle. Is it true that turtles come back to the same shore where they are born? If so, how is that possible? So, there is certain genetic information that is involved. Not all species are known to do this. Some of the marine species do this, and in India, we have seen Batagur species engage in this. There is not like I said, there is not much research to see what goes on here, but it is believed that it is the genetic reason why they are doing this. What can we do with exotic species in our natural habitat? Do we have a rescue center to keep these turtles in India? Unfortunately, there is no dedicated rescue center for turtles in India. You can go to your local zoo and give your turtles if you want to give them up. Forest department sometimes engage in cleaning up of the ponds, but it is very hard unless you put dedicated effort to remove this exotic species, because it will require trapping, which forest department may not engage in. Assam has the most number of species of turtles or tortoise. Did you say 20? No, I said 21. Similar to other reptiles, do they undergo molting? The skin sheds sometimes, but not like snakes. We don't see molting like snakes. When do we use the term terrapin? I've answered this question. What is the reason? Oh, but the spelling that Tejasri you use, terrapin, is actually a genus of a turtle. Terrapin ornithale. Box turtles, genus of box turtles are called terrapin. Terapene. What is the reason for difference in the limbs between freshwater and marine turtles? It's the limbs are adapted to the habitat they live in. Marine turtle is fully aquatic. Only the females come out to lay eggs. They you will never see a marine turtle venturing off on the beach. Otherwise, they only surface up to bask, and they don't like they will you will not see them basking on the beaches. So they are fully aquatic. They dive deeper when they are in the sea, so their body is adapted like that, so they have flippers. Maitri, thank you. I would like to know if there is any research in India on climate change affecting the sex ratio of turtles and tortoises. Any personal observation you had on this? No, Maitri, I do not know if there is any such study going on right now. I am not an expert on this, and I don't have much to say. The general observation, like everybody would tell you, is that because majorly it is known that they have temperature dependent sex determination, they may have we may have problems with the resultant hatchlings. But yeah, we don't have any such studies in India yet. At least I do not know if there are any such studies. What is the maximum weight of a freshwater turtles? I have weighed turtles of up to 30 kgs. Yeah, but I don't know if they may be more heavier than that. Turtles' sexual determination as per temperature must be set back for their population growth as due to global warming. Increased temperatures, I guess, then most of them would be females. Again, we do not have any research to prove this. So we don't know, we can't say this for sure yet. What all the measures are being taken to stabilize the sex ratio of the hatchlings, and are the measures being effective? No measures have been taken because we do not have any research yet. Like I said, unfortunately, everything is restricted because we don't have much research on these species. How many species we could see in Kerala? Could you please show the pictures of some of the species? We can see 8 species of freshwater turtles and tortoises, and I can send you the link of an article on freshwater turtles and tortoises of Karnataka, but the same applies for Kerala. Please reach out to me, I'll send you the link. Unfortunately, my presentation has ended and I do not have those species directly on my computer. How are the males and female identified? It depends on species to species. Any virus isolated from turtles or tortoises from India, since in parts of Northeast where it's sold in the market, chances of spillover of virus will be there, no? Like corona that we are also suffering. Naveen, we we know of Rana virus that affects freshwater turtles, but there is very limited research. Actually, in India, there is no research on Rana virus, so we don't know if there is a chance of spillover. Yes, we keep telling people that don't eat turtles because, like you said, there's a chance of spillover of virus, and like we are seeing this pandemic, this is a cause of concern. But yeah, unfortunately, in turtles we do not have much research. Will a turtle nest more than once a year? Yes, some of the species like flapshells are known to nest more than once a year. uh, IBP, Thomas has, yes, Thomas has said that IBP is currently accessible. It will be only inaccessible briefly tonight. Okay, so IBP is right now accessible, yes, and it'll be down only for some few hours. So please go have a look at India Biodiversity Portal. Even for other species information, it is a really good repository of our biodiversity information. If you have photographs, please contribute, not only of turtles but other species also. And Thomas has posted link of that group, so you can have a look at it. Are your papers available on ResearchGate? I have not yet published yet. It's in the pipeline, so by the end of the year you should be able to. Yes, I'll put on ResearchGate. You can follow me. Some of the other papers that I have is online on ResearchGate. Why does Assam have 20 species? What's the reason? Assam has 21 species, and like I said, because of Brahmaputra river, there is a very good mix of island habitat and large flowing rivers and wetlands. This becomes like a hotspot for turtles. So the habitat availability is extremely like conducive to turtles. So you see like a huge number of species in that state. So you have a large irrigation tank in coffee or tea plantation. Is it okay to release an indigenous species in it? So, like I said, pollution is a big problem in coffee and tea plantation. There have been chances of pesticides. So yeah, if you have natural habitat and water bodies clean, you can. But from where will you catch it and release it? Please don't go out to get like catch turtles and then release it in your tank. I um, Mehul has said that Vibhav Srivastava is talking about Gangetic softshell turtles released in Banaras for scavenging on half-burned dead bodies. Maybe, maybe he is. What species of softshell turtles do we find in Ganga? Say around Allahabad. You will see Gangetic softshell turtles and Indian flapshell turtles commonly. In Ganga, you also see Indian narrow-headed softshell turtles, but it is very rare. But near Allahabad, you should be able to see Indian narrow-headed softshell turtle. You should also be able to see peacock softshell turtles. If you do see any of these turtle species, please upload that information on India Biodiversity Portal. It will be a great help. Rohan, yes, we have 21 species of freshwater turtles and tortoises in Assam. Climate change question I've already answered. If I want to do some research on freshwater turtles, how should I proceed with my ideas? As there are many species that are threatened, and as you said, we should not keep them in our territories, in our homes, yes, as they require proper maintenance. Please write to us. If I am writing the email here, um, if you have queries related to this, please write to us at indiaturtles@gmail.com. We should be able to respond to your queries. Um, did I miss any? Yeah, okay. Does any species of turtle take care of their young or the hatchlings of their own? No, from India we do not have this information. None of the Indian turtle species are known to show parental care. Nor they lay their eggs and they go away. They won't stop for protecting the eggs or take care of their hatchlings. But certain in a species in Brazil, a certain amount of parental care is seen where turtle mothers communicate with the hatchlings right before they hatch. There's acoustic study done on it, but in India we don't have such studies. I have often seen that turtles basking in the sun go into water as soon as I reach near the pond. Even when I approach quietly, they seem to sense the presence. Do they have keen sense of hearing? Yes, so they do not have external ears. They have a layer of skin on their ears, but yes, they do sense when you're approaching. They also, lot of turtles have very very good vision. So if you are approaching from far, also they'll be able to see you. So they'll immediately dive into the water. What is the status of black soft-shell turtle? It is according to IUCN, it is extinct in white. Uh, There are a few spotted pond turtles kept in captivity as a part of breeding program or similar in Katarnia Ghat. What are the chances of these individuals surviving in wild? So yeah, lot of these species are kept in captivity, but there is not enough research to see whether they can survive in wild, or what happens if they are released in wild. It'd be very interesting study to see what happens to the hatchlings when they are released, to see if your conservation program is successful or not. I don't think they're doing it right now. So if anybody is like interested to study this, they can do it. If they have a hatchling, they can put radio transmitters, or they can do mark recapture studies to see what is happening, like what is the longevity or their movement ecology. There is a lot of area for people to study if they want to. How many sanctuaries or national parks are dedicated for turtle and tortoise conservation alone? There was just one sanctuary in Uttar Pradesh which was also denotified last year. Just one 7 kilometer stretch of Ganga that was set aside for turtle conservation. It was called as Kachua Sanctuary, and that was also denotified. In and around southern Vembanad Lake, we have noted Melanochelis trijuga, black pond turtle, disappearing on an alarming rate. What we have observed is these turtles come to surface, keep spinning as if disoriented for a few days and die. Are you aware of this or any similar issues? And will you share some details? Yes, actually, I have been getting a lot of these reports from Vembanad, and I am trying to raise some funds to study this. If I am able to raise enough funds, then I would like to come to this place and study what is going on with these turtles and why they are dying off. Any endemic species? Oh yeah, so we have three turtles and like two species of turtles and one species of tortoise that is endemic to India. Leech softshell turtle that I'm studying is endemic to peninsular India. Kerala forest cane turtle, the Cochin forest cane turtle, is also endemic. It is endemic to Western Ghats, especially the southern Western Ghats, and the Travancore tortoise is again endemic to Western Ghats.